The noise of a stadium can make a person feel larger than life. Thousands of voices rising together, cameras flashing, a ball rolling across perfect grass under bright lights. From the outside, it can look like a dream that never fades. But the truth is often quieter. Behind the celebrations and the headlines is a young man who has learned very early that success brings a strange kind of loneliness. People see confidence and call it arrogance. They see goals and trophies, but rarely the pressure that follows every step. For Jude Bellingham, belief has always been necessary, not because the world believed in him first, but because someone had to off the pitch. He insists he is just a normal guy, a son, a brother, someone who still measures his life through the smiles of his family rather than the roar of a crowd. And sometimes, the hardest moments arrive when everything seems within reach. Jude Bellingham. In Dortmund, on the final day of a season filled with hope, one of those moments was about to change everything. Long before the stadiums of Spain and the roar of the Champions League, there was a quiet neighborhood in Birmingham where a young boy was still trying to understand what football meant to him. His father was deeply involved in the game and often took him along to matches and coaching sessions. But at first, football did not completely capture his attention. While other children chased the ball across muddy grass, he sometimes wandered off, making small daisy chains for his mother and watching the world from the sidelines. Then something changed. One afternoon, he began to kick the ball around properly, almost out of curiosity. The feeling was immediate and powerful. Soon, the ball was always at his feet. He started scoring goals, competing with a fierce determination that surprised even the people closest to him. Losing became unbearable. Winning became a habit he wanted to build. In Birmingham City, the place where his professional story truly began, that hunger grew stronger. Coaches quickly noticed that this was not just another talented youngster. There was a seriousness in the way he trained, a maturity in the way he understood the game. But the move that shaped him the most came when he left England for Germany. Borussia Dortmund was a city built around football. Black and yellow colors filled the streets. The supporters were working class, passionate, and loyal. In many ways, it reminded him of home. For 3 years, Dortmund became the place where Jude Bellingham transformed from a promising teenager into a complete midfielder. The experiences there forged the player the world would soon recognize. Yet the final chapter of that journey ended with heartbreak. On the last day of the season, the entire city believed the league title was within reach. All Dortmund had to do was win at home. The stadium was filled with tension and hope. But football can be cruel. When the final whistle blew, the title had slipped away. Bayern Munich were champions again. Standing on the pitch, surrounded by thousands of devastated supporters, Jude Bellingham felt something he would never forget. At first there was numbness. Then he heard the crowd chanting his name, and the tears came. The summer after that painful day in Dortmund did not bring rest. Instead, it brought one of the biggest moves in world football. Real Madrid, for any young player, the name alone carries weight. The white shirt has been worn by legends, lifted countless trophies, and created moments that echo through football history. When the transfer was announced, the excitement was enormous, but so was the expectation. During his presentation, Jude Bellingham stood in front of cameras, journalists, and club officials on what he called the proudest day of his life. When he looked out into the room and saw his father smiling, his mother filming the moment, and his younger brother watching closely, the nerves faded. The dream suddenly felt real. He chose the number 5 shirt, the same number once worn by Zinedine Zidane. But he made one thing clear. He was not trying to become Zidane. He was trying to be Jude Bellingham and continue the legacy in his own way. Once the season began, something remarkable happened. He did not need time to adapt. From his very first matches in La Liga, he began scoring goals that changed games, late winners, powerful runs from midfield, calm finishes in crucial moments. Week after week, the Santiago Bernabeu started to rise to its feet for the same young English midfielder. With every goal, confidence grew. El Clásico soon arrived, one of the most intense rivalries in football. The atmosphere was electric. The pressure enormous. Barcelona struck first, and for a moment it looked like Madrid might struggle. But great players often appear in the biggest moments. Bellingham found space, struck the ball with conviction, and suddenly the stadium changed. Later, another chance arrived, and again he delivered. 2 goals, a comeback victory, and a statement to the football world. In just a few months, Jude Bellingham had gone from a new signing to one of the most decisive players at Real Madrid, and the season was only beginning. Success in football rarely moves in a straight line. Even during a season filled with remarkable moments, challenges have a way of appearing when you least expect them. As Jude Bellingham continued to shine for Real Madrid, the attention around him grew rapidly. Awards began to arrive. The Golden Boy. Global recognition. Headlines across Europe describing him as one of the most influential young players in the world game. With that recognition came a new kind of pressure. Suddenly, cameras followed him everywhere. Sponsors wanted his image. Supporters wanted photographs and autographs. Young players looked at him as a role model. At just 21 years old, he found himself becoming one of the most recognizable faces in football. But the game itself never becomes easier. During a match earlier in the season, an awkward fall led to a painful shoulder injury. For the first time, he felt a joint slip out of place. Many players would choose surgery immediately. Instead, he continued playing with heavy strapping, relying on adrenaline and determination to get through matches. Later in the season, another problem arrived. A serious ankle injury tore ligaments and forced him to miss several weeks. For someone who describes football as his release from everything else, being unable to play was one of the most difficult periods of the year. Without matches, doubts begin to creep into the mind. Questions appear quietly. Will the body recover fully? Will the rhythm return? Will the next step still be possible? Yet the team around him continued winning. Teammates stepped forward, maintaining the momentum in La Liga and the Champions League. When Bellingham finally returned to the pitch, the hunger was still there. If anything, the setbacks had sharpened it. Because for players like him, adversity is not the end of the story. It is often the beginning of the next chapter. By the time spring arrived, the season had entered its most demanding stretch. For Real Madrid, this was the stage where history is either written or lost. The Champions League has always carried a special aura in Madrid. Players speak about it almost like a force that lives inside the club. Nights at the Santiago Bernabeu feel different. The pressure is heavier, but so is the belief. That belief was tested in the knockout rounds. Against Manchester City, the defending champions, every moment required sacrifice. The matches were tense, tactical, and emotionally draining. When the tie went to penalties, the entire stadium seemed to hold its breath. Bellingham stepped forward with calm confidence and scored his kick. Real Madrid advanced, continuing a journey that felt increasingly destined for something bigger. The road did not become easier. Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and other giants stood in the way. Yet Real Madrid kept finding solutions, sometimes through brilliance, sometimes through resilience. Eventually, the team reached the Champions League final. For Jude Bellingham, the moment carried an extra layer of meaning. The opponent was Borussia Dortmund, the same club where he had grown from a teenager into a world-class midfielder. The same supporters who once chanted his name during one of the most painful nights of his career. Football has a strange way of completing circles. When the final whistle blew at Wembley, Real Madrid were champions again. In the middle of the celebrations, Bellingham looked into the crowd and saw the faces that mattered most. His mother, his father, his younger brother. For a moment, the noise of the stadium faded. But the season was not finished yet. Soon after lifting the Champions League trophy, he joined the England squad for Euro 2024. Expectations across the country were enormous. England had the talent, the momentum, and the belief that this could finally be their year. And once again, Jude Bellingham was right at the center of it all. The final whistle of a long season rarely brings silence. It brings reflection. For Jude Bellingham, the year had become something few players experienced so early in their careers. A journey that moved from heartbreak in Germany to triumph in Spain, and then back into the emotional storm of international football. After celebrating the Champions League victory with Real Madrid, the focus quickly shifted to England and Euro 2024. The expectations surrounding the team were immense. Every performance was analyzed, every result judged. When England struggled in the early matches, criticism grew louder. Media debates filled television screens. Social media amplified every mistake. In tournament football, the pressure can change from admiration to doubt in a matter of days. Then came the moment that defined the tournament for him. In the final minutes against Slovakia, with England close to elimination, the ball dropped inside the box. Instinct took over. Bellingham turned and struck an overhead kick that flew into the net. A goal that kept England alive and sent the game into extra time. It was the kind of moment that players dream about as children. England fought their way to the final. But against Spain, the ending was different. The opportunity slipped away, and the dream of lifting a major international trophy remained unfinished. Defeat leaves a strange feeling. Pride for how far you came, frustration for what was lost, and questions about what might have been. But for Bellingham, the story is far from over. He often says that football is about the people you share it with, the teammates who fight beside you, the family who support you through every high and every disappointment. From Birmingham to Dortmund, from Real Madrid to England, the journey has already been extraordinary, and yet it still feels like only the beginning. If this story reminds you of someone who never stops chasing the next challenge, share their name below. Because sometimes the most powerful legacy is not just the trophies you lift, but the determination to keep going when the world is watching.